Folks, the White House announced that the day-to-day operations of DOGE, the Department of Governmental Efficiency, have not been run by Elon Musk, but by Amy Gleason, a technology expert who worked with Obama, Trump in his first term, Biden, and now back with Trump. But what about the other candidates that they interviewed? Who were they and what were their ideas? Let's take a look. The first person they interviewed was Lieutenant General Kurt Crypto Radovich, the military strategist, who thinks the DMV should run like a covert op. Radovich proposed optimizing every federal agency using special operations efficiency, which, in his words, meant shutting down offices without telling anyone. Under his leadership, the DMV would require classified entrance codes. Passport renewals would involve rappelling down a government building, and VA hospitals would only accept encrypted requests in Morse code. Next, they interviewed Dr. Sergei Blockchain Ivanov, the Soviet AI genius who wanted to outsource Social Security to a sentient algorithm. Dr. Ivanov suggested replacing every Social Security employee with an AI named Lenin69, which would determine benefit eligibility by analyzing people's browsing history and favorite memes. Food stamps, in his plan, would be distributed as NFTs that could only be redeemed at participating gas stations in rural Montana. They also interviewed Enrique Velasco III, the billionaire from a country that doesn't exist, who wanted to control the FAA in interesting ways. Velasco pitched a plan to fire 80% of air traffic controllers and replace them with a decentralized network of weather balloons. The TSA, under his model, would transition to a trust-based honor system, and pilots would need to provide their own fuel. Flight delays, he claimed, could best be resolved via high-stakes poker games in airport lounges. Another candidate was Bradley Bradzilla Timken, the Twitch streamer. Bradzilla's vision for tax season involved turning it into a live-streamed event where taxpayers could speed-run their filings for bonuses. Those who missed the April 15th deadline would have to complete a series of Call of Duty-style challenges. Meanwhile, audits would be conducted via Twitch chat polls, and deductions would be granted based on how based the applicant was. Another candidate was Professor Wendy Calamity, the rogue economist who wanted the Federal Reserve to run on vibes. Calamity outlined a plan to eliminate traditional banking operations and replace them with a system where inflation was determined by Twitter engagement. The Federal Reserve Chair, under her proposal, would participate in an annual rap battle against Elon Musk to decide interest rates. Paper money, she insisted, would be abolished as a downer, and all transactions would require a dog meme or be rejected. The next candidate was Javier, the blockchain bandit Montenegro, the ex-bank robber who wanted to overhaul the U.S. Treasury. Montenegro suggested replacing all government-issued salaries with untraceable crypto tokens called Fedbucks. He proposed converting the Treasury's physical gold reserves into a single JPEG of a treasure chest, which, he claimed, would be more secure. Meanwhile, federal contracts, in his vision, would be awarded via underground poker tournaments. The next candidate was Gary the Guy Blonsky, the janitor who accidentally interviewed. Blonsky, upon realizing he was in the wrong meeting, decided to pitch anyway. His plan involved cutting environmental regulations by 99%, under the assumption that, quote, nature will figure it out. National parks, in his model, would double as fracking sites, and clean water standards would be determined by whether he personally thought a lake smelled weird. Funding for the agency would be sourced entirely from a GoFundMe. Another candidate was Major General Randall Big Coin Forsyth, the Pentagon bureaucrat who wanted to militarize the Postal Service. Forsyth believed the USPS could achieve peak efficiency if every mail carrier were turned into a federal agent armed with a taser and a body cam. Express shipping, in his vision, would involve paradrops from retired military aircraft, and customers would need an encryption key just to send a postcard. Mail forwarding, he argued, should be reclassified as a luxury item. Next was Lil Nebuchadnezzar, the rapper who wanted to overhaul the Department of Education. Nebuchadnezzar proposed a system where school funding would be distributed based on rap battles between teachers, and college tuition would only be payable in Dogecoin. Standardized testing in his model would be replaced with freestyle diss tracks against historical figures, and gym class would count as a physics lab if students could explain the trajectory of a basketball shot. Bjorn Magnusson IV is the next candidate. He's the Viking technomancer. Magnusson recommended eliminating traditional disaster relief in favor of a, quote, trial of strength, where survivors would prove their worthiness with feats of endurance. Emergency shelters in his model would be medieval-style longhouses